And welcome everybody to the latest episode of the Washington Wrestle Talk podcast. I'm your host, Mike. So there's been some big news here that has come out through the WWE. It seems that there's been an injury bug that's been going around. Of course, there were injuries at WrestleMania. The two people that were injured were AJ Styles, who injured his hip when he performed the phenomenal forearm to Randy Orton on the floor, and he injured his hip. He was kept off SmackDown. He was sent, he went home. He was not at SmackDown on Tuesday, so he's pretty much a day-to-day thing here. The other injury is Ronda Rousey, who suffered a hand injury in the main event. She broke her hand. She will now have surgery on it. There's the latest I heard was the surgery is going to happen on Tuesday. And then Nia Jax has been battling knee injury. She's set to go through double knee surgery on Tuesday. And at SmackDown this past Tuesday, Big E tore his MCL, and he will be out of action for quite some time. There's no timetable on when he's returning. I don't know exactly when it happened because I didn't watch SmackDown this week. But nonetheless, that's four main roster stars that are going to be out for some time. It's hard to say what's going to happen with Rousey after she recovers from the hand injury, whether she's going to come back or if she's going to start a family with her husband, Travis Brown. Speaking of Rousey, a lot of wrestlers now in the WWE have their own YouTube series. Of course, the most notable being Xavier Woods hosting Up, Up, Down, Down. But Samoa Joe has has his own YouTube show, as does Ronda Rousey. In fact, there was an episode that she did before WrestleMania. It was called "What Is Her Plans After WrestleMania?" And basically, she was playing a saxophone. It was dubbed, of course. And then you had people. You had such people in it as Alexa Bliss, Travis Brown, her husband, Paul Heyman, Braun Strowman. Definitely check it out. Do a search for Ronda Rousey on YouTube, and definitely look at the episode. It was one of the funnier things I'd ever seen. I think the line of the episode was when Paul Heyman was saying, "Travis Brown, the former number one contender heavyweight, told me that he was a sax man. He was a sax lover with his wife." I said, "Good on you, man." And then I realized what he meant by sax. And I just couldn't help myself. I was just dying laughing. Some other news out of the WWE was a referee was fined this past week. Referee Rob Zapata, who was the referee in the main event triple threat women's match, pretty much botched the finish. He counted the 3 count on Rousey, even though her shoulders were not on the mat. So Vince McMahon, Monday night at Raw, pulled the referee aside, told him his mistake, and then basically fined him an undisclosed amount. Another story that came out from WrestleMania was not Braun Strowman, but Brock Lesnar. Apparently, he was not happy that he was not in the final match, even though it had been announced on Raw the week before. Makes you wonder where the hell he's been, if he's even he even paid attention to the product. I mean, but he was furious. He got into an argument with Vince McMahon, so he went out. They had, in fact, Hulk Hogan didn't even know what was going on when Paul Heyman came out because Hogan was doing his shtick, and then out came Paul Heyman, and unannounced. But needless to say, Brock did his match with Seth Rollins. Did the job, and then Lesnar didn't even stick around. He got onto a private helicopter, and is now in Vegas. And I say good riddance because, I mean, he had the passion and the drive when in his first run as in the WWE back in 2002 to 2004, and then he just became, his ego got the best of him, and he became, this guy that would just do big money matches and not, put forth the effort. So I'm not going to miss him. So, and I don't think anybody else will either. There's some other things I was going to say, and I just can't think of it at the moment. Just a lot going on here. Especially here at my house, there's a lot of things going on. Of course, another big story that's developing is Sasha Banks wants to leave the WWE. Now, she was under the assumption that her and Bayley's tag team, the Boston Hug Connection, were going to be long-term champions, women's tag team champions, for the foreseeable future, and not just drop them, at WrestleMania to the Iconics. So when she found out, she was pretty upset. Bayley agreed with her, but Bayley did work Monday Night Raw. Sasha Banks canceled an appearance on the Wendy Williams show, citing personal reasons. She actually is on vacation with her husband and also with Kalisto and his wife. There was an image posted on Instagram, the Instagram of Kalisto, of the four of them in Costa Rica. So, but the company is hoping that she will reconsider, her status in the company. I'm just so, yep. And of course, Bret Hart's attacker. Now, if you don't recall, Bret Hart was attacked at the Hall of Fame when he was talking about his partner, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, when a 26-year-old man from Nebraska named Zachary Madsen attacked him. Now, he was scheduled to appear in court on Friday. However, Madsen's court appearance has now been delayed till May 28th. As of now, there's no reason, no official reason why it was delayed. Madsen has been charged with 2 counts of assault in the 3rd degree for tackling Bret Hart and Natalya, as well as trespassing and interfering with a sporting event. In the state of New York, assault in the 3rd degree is a Class A misdemeanor and could be punishable with up to 1 year in jail per count. If Madsen is found guilty, he could face a year for each count of assault. So, he could be looking at 2 years in a New York jail. So, I'm hope he does get that because, there was just no rhyme or reason. I'm reading the comments that were left. If found guilty, dude is clearly guilty. Yeah, no kidding. Something else that was announced this week was Vampiro. And if you're not familiar with Vampiro, he's the color commentator on Lucha Underground. He is a big star in Mexico in the 90s and first part of 2000s. He was in WCW. He announced that at 51 years old, he's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Now, if you know anything about Vampiro, and if you've read anything about, if you've read Chris Jericho's books, Chris Jericho said you take what he says with a grain of salt, but something this serious, I don't know. Um, if indeed he does have this, there's no beating it, and I've seen what it does to people, and it's not real good. And I hope nothing but the best for Ian Hodgkinson, Vampiro, and I hope he does pretty well from here on out. Um, I do want to give a very special thank you to the following people on Twitter. And of course, Alexandra Hamilton. I want to thank her for listening to my show. I want to thank Sugar and Dynamite Dana. Both of them are from modestmomswrestling.com. They both said some really nice things, about me on Twitter. And I appreciate all the nice compliments, and I wish more people would listen to this. Also want to give a shout out to the fine people at the Lingerie Fighting Championships. Um, I'm a fan of you guys, and if anything comes out of it, I can always do more podcasts. Now, also some other news that happened this week. I'm just kind of rambling here, sorry. Robert Evans, who was a creative writer for SmackDown, has quit because of a line that he put in Bret Hart's Hall of Fame speech. Now, if you didn't notice on the Hall of Fame, it was all done by teleprompt, and Evans, was specifically told not to write anything about Vince McMahon in the speeches. But Evans went ahead and did it. It was more of a "you can't fire me, I quit." But sources are saying that if it didn't escalate to that point, the situation could have been resolved with no firings and nobody quitting. If Robert Evans is best known as R.D. Evans from Ring of Honor, also known as Archibald Peck, mixed martial archie from the promotion Shikara, which is more of a cartoony profession. And of course, AEW, All Elite, is reportedly in advanced talks with Warner Media for a weekly televised show, most likely landing on TNT, which was the former home of Monday Nitro for 1995 to 2001. It would be the first time, since 2001, since a wrestling show has been on the Turner networks, with SmackDown going to Fox this coming fall. It could go head to head with, AEW could go head to head with SmackDown. It could produce some good wrestling for all the fans. An actual, wrestling war, as opposed to what Impact Wrestling tried to do many years ago when they tried to go to Monday nights. It didn't really work out for them. MLW had their Battle Riot show. It was over WrestleMania weekend, but it was streamed to YouTube this weekend, so there's a week delay in it. Battle Riot is basically like a Royal Rumble match, but there's 40 guys that come in, and instead of over the top rope, elimination by over the top rope, you can also pin or submit somebody. And the winner is, just like in the Royal Rumble, is the number one contender for their respective title, the respective title in the company. In MLW, it's their heavyweight championship. So, back in July, former UFC competitor Tom Lawler won the event. He went on to defeat Low Key this past February to win the heavyweight championship. And at Battle Riot this time around, it was L.A. Park, or better known as La Parka here in the United States, that won the Battle Riot it used to be a briefcase, now it's a ticket. Um, so LA